Okay, what we're going to be doing today is Tarot Tuesday. And first I want to talk about something on the Tarot Tuesday. And that is going to be about, the Lion's Gate. And what I have learned as time's gone by, a lot of times when the mass of people claim to have the Lion's Gate, one of the good sayings that I always say is when everybody claims it to be true, it probably isn't. Just like if you think back before the Holocaust, there was a incident that happened called Holodomor. Holodomor actually was a same situation, and during that situation, nobody could speak about it. It was the government that actually killed off millions of people in around the Ukraine area. Why could they not speak about it? Because it was the government that was part of it. So what's funny is today, I don't know if some of the pictures could be actually the Holodomor, because nobody has really good knowledge about this crisis that went down just years before what the Jewish Holocaust happened. So with that said, there's a lot of photos that I think could be actually the Holodomor, but we don't have enough records behind it, because no government's allowed anybody to speak about the Holodomor. They did not allow you to teach about the Holodomor until after the mid-80s. So up until the mid-80s, nobody knew about it. So I looked into it probably about a year ago, and what's funny is the Holodomor was about the same amount of people that was starved to death and put in concentration camps and starved to death by their government, and it was intentional. And it's just funny how you look at those photos of the Holodomor, and it looks a lot like what you would consider the Holocaust to be. So what if they maybe switch them in and out? I don't know. And I think a lot of times when there is a certain someone's that's over here changing history and not allowing things to be taught, then you have to think about it with the side eye. You get what I mean? So we have to look at things for what they are rather than what everybody wants to allow it to be. Now, see, my moon sign is Leo, so it does have a reference to me. I'm Sagittarius, Leo, Sagittarius. So my rising is Sag, Sun Sag, and then Leo's sun is the moon. So that's my emotional state. So what I wanted to do today is I had a few pointers that I wanted to talk about. So, well, what's funny is this past week, so we let my dog down last Tuesday, and the in-laws ended up coming in from into United States and visiting. So we've been on vacation for a few days, and what's funny is they normally don't show up until late August. And for some reason this year they switched their dates around, and it's funny how the universal forces work. You know what I mean? And I think that we would have been home really down and out probably with losing our animal. So we ended up able to get out of the house, clear our head. And what was funny, after we was leaving Tennessee area, we was heading back home. I was like, oh, maybe we can spend a day or two at the family house. So kind of find out we had a hole. So we stopped halfway in and stopped at this is the view of my family's house here in the mountains. And we thought we'd stay here. We played in the waterfalls and played down near the water yesterday. So, oh, well, one thing I do want to talk about. So people that claim to have empathy, okay? What's funny is a lot of people claim to have empathy, and what you have to understand, people can have empathy, and people might be more like have already sold themselves, so they don't really have the capability of having empathy. but they've studied enough about empathy to where they make you assume that they have it. And this is a prime example of what I've been dealing with just personally recently. And what I've downloaded is these people actually cannot feel for others. What they do is they actually attach themselves to people like myself or others who have the connection with others and have empathy and love for things. What they do is their entities, I don't know if it's so much their entities, but it's the energy that they have now taken on, now leeches onto them people. So they claim to be like a supporter of yours, but really they aren't, if you get what I mean. So they claim that they are something, but they aren't. Why do they do that? They are not connected to this divine mind to be able to communicate the way that I do. So what they do is they find people who are connected, who can see spirit, who can really tap into things, and they can use us as almost like a link to the spirit world. So they use us to be able to communicate, if that makes sense. Same way with empathy. So they don't really have it. So what they do is they suck it from us to be able to portray that they do have it, if that makes sense. And another thing is, now what people want to claim is, okay, so if they do one thing and they're all love and light, and they make assumptions that that they're here for the benefit, but then when certain things come into play, and there are certain things that are mentioned, and then these people are nowhere to be found because they act like they are either afraid to remove something out of, like a lower vibration, out of their space, or what I was picking up was, what if they are part of that? You get what I mean? So if they are part of it, they can't remove it. And I was speaking to somebody, I think it was last week, about this same thing. And so everybody was like, I don't know. And they more or less backed off, and they wouldn't even help out until after I initiated everything. So after I initiated and started the removal process to get the majority of it out, then there was a chime. It's like they chimed in to put pointers. But they didn't put their energy out there because they cannot use their energy because they're part of it. You get what I mean? So people can't remove things if they're already part of it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When we sit here and we start selling aspects of ourselves off, you've already sold your aspects off to these people. So there's no capability for that person to be able to remove a lower entity from your household. And they can claim that they know how to do it, but can they? And the thing is, there's different capabilities for people, especially if they've already sold parts of their self off. And so what's funny is, how I see it today is most people are over here like throwing out the Lion's Gate. And why does everybody want to jump on board, and does it really have that much meaning to us today? So if there's this power shift that people claim that we have within the Lion's Gate, is that just something made up by the rulers to make people assume? Or can that be some type of portal to where they're energy suckers, to where they can actually attach themselves to the people that's over here opening up during this portal time? So they push the agenda for this Lion's portal, and then people are sucked in on board to activate themselves to this Lion's portal. And then these people that already know what's going on, what they do is they can then leech off of you through these astral threads. So if you do any work during these times, if you're trying to connect yourself to these portals, you need to make sure and remove astral threads from you to anything that you connected with during meditation. Because the thing is if there is something else there during this portal time, it can come right back to you. And these astral threads during meditation, when you're in an altered state, it gives them easier access to you through the astral threads. With that said, what I would do if I was to connect through that, or try to communicate through the Lion's Portal, or any of these portals that they try to claim is here. There's a reason why they want to push this agenda. It's because they are able to manipulate the energies of the system to be able to use us during this time. And that's what you have to understand. So during these times, the rulers and the people of the rulers understand these aspects within the universal forces. And when we move into these shifts, people like us, we know some, but do we know enough? Really, think about it. I mean, they only give us parts of the pie. And it don't matter how much you study, we only get parts of the pie. And unless you've been through the school of thought and been in the clique for your whole life, and your family's been in the clique, nobody really knows. So you can study all you want, and then when people start doing certain things about what I'm almost pretty sure that's what I'm going to be doing today, is looking into what is the Lion's Portal. Is it actually something here to benefit us? Because there's a lot of things here that we assume is good for us and everything is hunky-dory, but these people know how to play the fucking system. So with that said, they're over here trying to use us, abuse us, and then suck us. And so during these portals, they can activate these portals, and they know these portals are activated, so they can jump in them and then use us while we're over here trying to activate through, if you understand what I mean. Because I'm seeing like a whirlwind, and then so they can, it's almost like the opposite effect for them. So they can jump in, use us while we're trying to elevate ourselves. So, and now the thing is there, so when they're doing that, who is the ones that's coming through? So there's beings that are able to use this portal. And when they're using this portal, so what they do is they shift in and through. And it's just strange how we make assumptions for things. And I mean, this was a question that came up because when everybody's thinking of something, and if everybody sees it to be true, it's not. I'm just being true, and I'm being real, and I'm not going to sit here and try to put things on for clicks. If I only get 5 views, I don't give a fuck. Most people will put celebrity names and do like tags on here to get viewers. If you're not meant to be here today, you're not meant to be here, and that's how I feel it. I don't need to talk about celebrities. I don't need to talk about anything other than me trying to help you out. So at that point, what we're going to be doing is then working together as a team to try to fix what we have created, because the generational curse that we're still dealing with what it's like, there's so many things that have been manipulated and transmuted incorrectly since like the 50s, and that's the reason that a lot of these star seeds have been injected here right now. And I know I'm one. I chose to come back. I was a shaman one other life, and that's the only other life that I've been able to actually cohabitate with in this personal body. So you are able to, through Akashics, you are able to open up past lives, past souls, and if those souls are here and can benefit us, we have the ability to actually invite them to more or less co-manifest with us. So what's funny, after I started doing it, a lot of what I do now is like really shaman stuff. And a lot of times when I do clearings for people's homes, it's my past soul that was a fire dancer. And it's funny because a lot of the stuff that I would assume that he would have done is what I do today. And before, I did not, I mean, I've read books and stuff, but I did not know how to initiate things. And then now I don't even really ask. People call, and then every person I'll do differently. Sometimes I'll put candles, herbs, and berries. And sometimes I'll take herbs from my house for power. And then when I get to their house for clearings, what I'll do is I'll tell them to use the berries off of a tree or use something else with color to be able to like blend their property. I tell you, this thing keeps blowing every time I move it. It's like terrible. So each house resonates differently. And then one other thing that I picked up a while back was when after my accident, right? So I had the accident, and then I hated moving back up here to the countryside, and it took a long time to understand what my purpose was and why am I still here, and how can I be able to gravitate to this for myself. And what's funny is what I've gotten over time is the reason that I had the accident and it happened the way that it did, because see, the property that my main house is on is a property that was given to me. So with that said, I was placed on that property to be able to resonate a certain way, because here in the southern Bible Belt, there's a lot of people that have misconstrued a lot of things. So they need certain energies to be able to activate these areas. So like where I'm at, there's a bunch of churches. There's a lot of people that still is living in this ideology state. Doesn't matter what. I don't care what you are. If you're still looking outside of yourself, you're still stuck. And that's just the facts. And when I was placed there, it was showing like certain people who have been like activated to proceed forward, is that what they're going to be doing is they hold the energy of that spot. So one powerful light worker can really expand that energy out for miles. So one light energy worker like myself, a powerful one, can transmute over 1,000 unawakened people, whether they want to even understand it or not. We hold the space for them. So where I'm sitting today at my main house, I'm over here holding the space for the people around, and that's what I picked up a long time ago. So where I have my house, it's there, I'm there, and then I actually help the surrounding area, and then others are starting to awaken around. And when they go to awaken around, then it's going to start shifting the whole synopsis around my property as well. But they needed someone like myself to be planted in rural North Carolina to be able to change the outcome of the energy of that spot. And it's just funny how it took me years to understand it. It took me years to understand seclusion and enjoy seclusion. I love this shit now. I mean, I don't like, and the more I go into the city and get around people, I think city people have like turned out to be fucking nuts anymore. And it's just funny that you couldn't pay me to live in the big city again. You could not pay me to move into probably a medium-sized city, because people don't look at life the way that people do when they're connected. When you're connected with everything around, it's like a whole different vibe. And it doesn't matter what you do. You can have a bad mouth like myself. I cuss like a sailor, but I tell you, I'm connected. And when people are connected, you don't have to worry about it. Curse words are a spell. Everything is a spell. That's why they call it spelling. And like the name, certain names I think are activation points and could be actually spells that we don't even know, because we're not part of the clique. Just like if Jesus didn't have a name with the letter J, but we put power into this name, what are we doing? We're putting power into a name that doesn't exist, so we are putting a spell. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are over here probably doing that, and with that said, let's look at the okay, so it says right now with how it's showing the Lionsgate. Currently, how I look at it, the way that I was talking about, is it really as true as people claim? And my question is, I take a risk because I am the creator. So that means I am God. And my subconscious is not allowing me to go with the masses, because I am a wild outlaw, and there is no reason for me to follow the mainstream narrative. Because the mainstream narrative, when you are a connected soul, there is no reason to get stuck in the void, because these people are going to be getting stuck, and that's where the void is. So these people within the Leo mindset, they're over here talking about it and doing it, but they don't understand how this works. Truly understand how it works. They might understand the astrological part, but they don't understand the metaphysical. And there's things out there that most people don't understand, and that's where we're at today. And so the void is here, and it's like these people want to be the outlaws, but they aren't. So they claim that they are the outlaws, but they're stuck in a void. They're still stuck in a void. So all they're doing is they're still like stuck in this mind control mass, and they're still promoting the same agenda as before. It's just a new word and a new age and a new cage. They jumped in another cage, and they assume that they're moving out of that cage, putting in another cage, and then they think they're going to get somewhere, but they ain't. And because these people think while they're doing it, they're the warriors, like they're fighting for the world. But to have the overall power and to reclaim what's right, you need to understand that we are the pillars. We are the pillars, and we have to reclaim what's right. And when you allow others to start putting certain ideas and certain things and not knowing the true outcomes of them, then it could actually do more harm than good. And that's because the power that we have today is the versatility. Because what we're going to be doing is these people claim that they're going to be versatile, and the problem is still what's happening is they're still stuck. So you can be as versatile as you want, but they're still looking at it like they're the outlaws, and they're doing a new thing, but they're still, because I still see like things that's able, because that's the lower 3D mentality, and this is the hive mind. And just like yesterday, the Donald Trump thing, oh Lord, that's just a mess. And I was breaking down the gematria and the numerology yesterday of why they did Trump yesterday, and everything talks, it relates to Donald Trump, the CIA, the secret society. It's all in the numbers, and most people don't understand it. And it's all a stage. Everything has been staged from my childhood, and probably even before then, to be honest. So everything that they did was a stage. Biden's there as a stage. It's all been staged before. It will continue being a stage. And for us to be able to become the magicians that we want to become, we got to start thinking outside the box, because there's too many things that people claim to be true, and I just see like it's more of a darkness center to where you're still being sucked into the rat race, so you really aren't finding awakening. All you're doing is you're finding a new way to reinterpret another concept or a new idea that is still the same concept or idea of the older way of thinking. But then you think it's the new age, this is the new cage. So then people start taking things and then changing around, but it's still the same thing. Just like when you're over here saying Amen, Amen Ra. So when you're saying in Jesus, in Jesus' name we pray, Amen. That's like, so that is Zeus, Jesus, and Jesus' name, Amen Ra. Exactly. So it's still that, it's all still interlined with Greek mythology and the Egyptian mythology with the New Age, New Cage. So it's funny how we misinterpret things and then we don't like line it up, because everything was put out. It's just been rewritten to retrap the mind, and that's what I see here with this portal. And this portal is a way for these people to be able to use the energy off of the connected ones to be able to reassume their power. Because, see, these things and these people, they don't have power unless they reassume and connect themselves to you through astral threads. So what you're doing, you're connecting, you're feeling good, you changing the world, but what you're really doing is those fucking assholes are over here fucking with you. And you're sitting back and you're over here fondling your twat, thinking that you're over here connected and you are flying high as a giraffe's ass. And the thing is all you're going to be doing is connecting yourself to lower entities, lower deities that are, I'm not saying they're here to harm us, but the thing is, lower entities and lower deities are not for the benefit of humanity. It's just how it is. That's why it's a lower vibrational source. That is 4D. When we move out of 3D, we're moving to 5D. So we don't need them. You don't need to communicate with them. You don't need to be part of them. So when you're doing these, okay, so if people are doing these portals, people like myself that would want to connect, what would be the easiest way, and what would they need to do to be able to connect and not be leeched on? So they're saying okay, so you need to sit, and before you start the meditation, you need to make sure that you watch a bright, glowing, like rainbow light that covers your body, and it like engulfs everything in your body, because that is the mind of the source creator. And you need to start taking the risk to consume yourself with this energy. And when you start consuming yourself with this energy, the lower forms are not allowed to attach if you don't want it. Plus, if you're resonating on a higher platform of thinking, and you're sitting back and you're thinking, okay, well, if I'm over here doing this, it's going to be a little bit more difficult when you're on a higher form of thinking as well, right? So what you need to think is, if you're holding yourself in that light of God while you're doing this, and you're on that higher state of being, these entities will be less likely to attach. But when you're done, I'm saying you need to literally like sever all ties of what you did. So after the meditation, if you get any visuals or get any downloads, it would be best to try to like sever them. So you need to think of, before you get out of the meditation state, what you need to do is you need to sit there, and every thought that you had, you need to watch it burn and just like sever off of your body to where you thought about, or all the ideas. Or if they come to you during the meditation, after it comes to you, watch yourself connected to it through an astral thread, and literally take a lighter or something to burn it and sever that tie to it. And then if you see something else, do the same thing after each one comes. And if you do it one by one, then you don't have to do it as a whole. So I'm seeing it more like it's something that you need to think about while you're meditating, because when you start opening up during these power grid areas, and that's another thing that I want to get into, the ley lines. So ley lines, we have most of our major cities on center points of the earth, like the pyramids, they're on a ley line. Washington, D.C., if you go from Boston, Washington, D.C., Pilot Mountain, North Carolina, Louisiana, there's a few other big, I think Philadelphia is on that same ley line. So it goes down, and that is a ley line power point. And there's a ley line that goes like this, and then there's ley lines that go like this. So, and Washington, D.C. is a main power point. Pilot Mountain is that knob is a power point. And so all these big cities, they have placed these cities in these power points to be able, so when we do these activations, who knows what the fuck they're doing? They're in the prime place to be able to consume us and to use us. So you have to make sure and be safe while you're doing it, because that when they are sitting on a power grid like that, they can be able to attach and be able to really use that energy, because those are power points. And that's why the pyramids of Giza is placed where they are. It's so these people can be able to use energy in certain ways. And that's something that I would like to do Akashic Records and try to channel on in the next week when I have a chance. So what do we need to know? So we need to become more and create more and quit acting like fools. Because the thing is, what people need to know about this portal stuff is we don't know enough. So people are over here assuming something to be real when they're a bunch of fools. And the subconscious has everything to do with ideology. So, what people think before, okay, so they just passed this point. So they're like the phoenix coming out of the flames. They think that they know their shit, and they is good. They is real good. So, they come out of the flames. This is just like recent past. So, this is what we really need to know about the Lion's Gate. And then they come out of the flames so they can be able to have a stable house, like a stable, and enjoy their life and be able to understand it fully. But too many things happens. And it's going to be a rat race to where people are going to be fools, and they're going to assume something through ideology and then start creating. And then what they're doing is they're turning their back on what they think was wrong and starting something new. And then there's going to be, now what's funny is there's a lot of people wanting to connect to it because they feel it as this new movement. But and their outcome, what's funny is, okay, so they look at it like this. They're sitting here with like, oh, I'm a baby and I'm putting so much power into myself and I'm going to be making this shit right. And then that bitch is going to be fucked up because she done got fucked up at the end. And that's the outcome. And then next thing you know, the world has you in their hand, and they play you like a bitch. And that's how the Leo season goes. And that's what I wanted to do on Tarot Tuesday. I thought that would be good because everybody is over here putting out so much stuff. And you have to understand, when things are put out in masses, think about it. How many people are talking about this shit today? There has to be something behind it. And if you aren't part of the connected ones, you will never know. Because these people will make you assume this to be true, and you're going to believe it should be true. And always think, the word believe has lie written all in it. Believe. So when you start to believe something as true, then you're going to start recreating things for yourself. But the thing is you're going to be stuck in a void. And the void, because you think that you need the power. You're already the power. The power is you need to start taking risks because you are part of the Creator. And the power lies within. And that's power. The power lies within you taking risks because you are God. And that's what I got for Tarot Tuesday. We're about to pack up and head back home here in a few minutes. So I wanted to make that quick. A morning coffee Tarot Tuesday before we get the house packed and ready to roll. Okay, I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. And I'll try to get back on here in the next few days and try to put out some more. Because I do want to do some more channelings. And I want to channel on the ley lines. I have some other things that have popped up. And I'd like to deep dive into Akashic Records on how the Leo and how it actually really works. And when is good times for the enlightened, like the people that is connected with the Creator. What are the good times for us to be able to do this? You get what I mean? Because is it certain times of the year, or is that just like a PowerPoint for the people of the opposite to be able to consume us? And that's another thing you have to think about. Because if they're over here promoting it, and it's everywhere, and people want you to think something, when likely there's an agenda behind it. And that's how we need to start thinking, because there's people out and they try to take you down when you're at the lowest state possible. And I've seen that firsthand just lately, and it's just funny how you assume things to be true, but it's all fucking bullshit. And I'm gonna leave it there. Bye guys.